All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sekhmet Rising. So, this is a conference I wanted to do. This is let's just say, a gift, public service, community service in a way. Um, I recognize that the time that we're in is a time period dedicated to mother, but specifically the essence of mother in the form of Sekhmet. So, I reached out to the two Sekhmet experts that I know for them to each share a part of who they know Sekhmet to be, their encounters, their experience, the essence of who they are as a result of that essence of mother. Um, so this is an honor for mother. So I like to see this as a second Mother's Day in a way. Because honestly, mother doesn't get enough credit in the spiritual community, in the spirit world itself. She's the hidden one that keeps everything working. So that's really the heart behind this all is given mother platform. Um, but again, I want to emphasize the specific energy that I was feeling, the specific essence that I had begun feeling when I was putting this together was centered around Sekhmet, the Kemetic principle, the Kemetic Netzert. Um, so with that being said, y'all will hear from me much later. Special thanks to my sister Marie Coveley and Kajara NebtHet, um, who will be sharing this platform. We're going to start off with Kajara, followed by Marie, and then I'll finish us off at the end. Um, so depending on how the sessions go, there may be times for Q&A, or we might do this. This will be on YouTube later. So it's great having you all here. So uh, so let me just start with a short prayer, and then I'll pass it on to my sister Kajara. So, Mother, we thank you for your inclusion in our lives and your role that you play in the world. Thank you for who you are, and what you've made us to be. Thank you for your power. Thank you for your love and your wisdom. Ashe. And with that, I pass it over to Kajara.
I say. Thank you so much for opening the way for me to be present to share with you and your listeners. And I am Riki Kajara NebtHet. I'm the founder of the Raseki Arts Temple. I am a priestess of Sekhmet, and I have been working with Sekhmet for about 20 years, a little more than 20 years, actually. And even beyond that, because my relationship with Sekhmet, I feel, spans lifetimes. So it's always a pleasure to share about the great mother healer. I am also an author and an educator. I actually have a book called Sekhmet Rising. So yes, it is a book that is everything Sekhmet. And, because I also have trained Sekhmet priestesses, we have come to really, have a really strong relationship with the great mother healer, Sekhmet, and have known many of her phases. So I would also like to share an invocation to Sekhmet. And I'm just going to ask you all to just kind of like shake off any anxiety. I'm also a Reiki master teacher. I teach Reiki healing. So we're going to do a little energy work, okay? So just shake it off a little bit. And we're going to breathe out through the mouth. Breathe in through your nose and out. Again, in through the nose and out. One more time. In through the nose. Big breath. Take another little bit of air in and hold it. And breathe out. We're going to do a little chanting. We're going to chant Yah Sekhmet. which basically is saying activate Sekhmet, or I activate the power of Sekhmet within me. So, yeah, Sekhmet. Yeah, Sekhmet. Chat with me. Yeah, Sekhmet. 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 Opener of ways, keeper of the divine laws. Dua Sekhmet. Ruler of lions, serpents, and dragons. Dua Sekhmet. Lady of transformations. Lady of bright red linen. One who brings joy. Beloved teacher. Great one of magic. Great one of heaven. Great one of Heka. Dua Sekhmet. We give thanks to you, great mother. We honor you, Sekhmet. Praise you, Sekhmet. Anatarak Sekhmet. Ya Sekhmet. Ya Sekhmet. Ya Sekhmet. The enlightener, the awakener, opener of ways. She who loves Ma'at and who detests evil. Overcomer of all enemies. Dua Sekhmet. Destroyer of evil. Dua Sekhmet. Ya Sekhmet. We call on you to be present with us today and every day, Sekhmet. Continue to work with us, work through us, and open the way for us to bring that order. Help us to restore order and balance, peace, justice, and love to the planet once again. Through our Sekhmet, help us to restore Ma'at. Help us to restore peace within our hearts, in our bodies, in our families, in our communities. Bring peace to this planet, Sekhmet. We call on you to work with us. We are calling on you to bring transformation as it is needed right now. Through our Sekhmet, through our Sekhmet, through our Sekhmet. We praise you. We thank you, great mother, for your loving blessings. We thank you, Sekhmet, for all that you give us and all that you teach us. We thank you for healing us and restoring health in all ways, our mental health, our spiritual health. Throughout Sekhmet, we give praises to you. We give thanks when we come together to honor the Great Mother. It is powerful. It is healing. And it's needed right now. We all know that. So Sekhmet is that energy that we call Sekhem. Some people call it Chi, Ki. It's that heat that you feel right now. When we call on her, we feel that heat. We feel our energy. We feel her energy awaken within us. And that is why we call her. So, Sekhmet helps us to connect with each other and with all things natural, because all things have Sekhem. The rain, sun, fire, the air, the animals and plants. We are connected through Sekhem. And that is that life force energy, which is the realm of Sekhmet. She who is powerful. It is the power that we share that gives us the ability to use the natural things to heal. And this is also part of the lesson working with Sekhmet, learning to use the elements for healing, for balance, for order. Because, of course, she is also the enforcer of Ma'at. So Ma'at gives us the laws, and Sekhmet reminds us that we should live by these laws, that we should live with order and harmony and balance, the attributes of Ma'at, and to remember to do our best to live with righteousness and truth. These are the things that Sekhmet fights for. So she is a warrior. She is a sun goddess, the daughter of Ra. And of course, the energy of Ra is infinite. And that is what gives Sekhmet that energy, that infinite power that is within us and all of nature. And of course, the sun represents the element of fire. So she is also that fire goddess. So when we work with fire, we tune into that energy. The powerful, most powerful aspect is the fire because it's transforming and ultimately very healing as well. So Sekhmet works with us through fire in our bodies as our immune system. That aspect of us that fights the germs, it fights disease, it fights for us to live. That is the Sekhim, the power. That is Sekhmet working through us. So we work with that fire energy when we want to connect with her. Working with the fires, working with the candles, meditating fire, sitting in an open fire, eating fiery foods that raise your frequency and foods that assist with your immune system. Cayenne pepper and garlic and ginger, the spice of life. That is Sekhmet, because of course, with power comes passion. With fire is heat, which is also passion. And Sekhmet, when we feel that passion, we feel that light energy flowing, that fire flowing through us, that Kundalini rising energy. That's the life force energy. That's the energy of Sekhmet. So we feel it. Every day we feel it. We're connected to it wherever we go because it is a part of us. We just have to remember to work with that divine part. So when we need healing, and it could be emotional healing that's needed, we can, meditate with Sekhmet, chant with Sekhmet, call on her to assist with balancing our emotions, balancing our hearts, because of course the heart is also represented by fire. It's a muscle, it's moving, it's energy through our bodies. That's that Sekhim power working through our hearts. So when we're healing, we have to work with our hearts because it is the core of the energy, the physical part. It's moving that blood that, of course, the Sekhim flows through the blood. It flows through our breath. That is why if we lose too much blood, we transpire. If we cannot breathe, we transpire because it is the life force energy that flows through us in those ways. That's why we have to keep our blood clear. for our immune system to work the way that it's meant to. We have to eat those spicy foods to stay balanced, to keep the blood balanced, to keep the heart balanced. The emotional healing is associated with our physical health and healing. So we're healing the physical part, which helps to heal the emotional part. We heal the emotional part to help heal the physical. And Sekhmet, we meditate with her to get the medicine that is needed for the healing. She is the mother of Imhotep, the mother of medicine. They call him the father, but he learned his lessons from his mother, Sekhmet. So when we want to heal, we can tune into her energy to find out what's wrong with us and to find out how to heal it. Sekhmet also can help us when it comes to healing our spiritual energy. She has a way of helping to clear things that are not good for us. Those things can be people, they could be places, they could be feelings, they could be old beliefs that do not serve us. When you really work with Sekhmet, she will help you to clear those things, to clear that energy, to balance what is needed. That is the healing power. And Sekhmet, Mother Sekhmet, she also gives us courage when we need courage. So when there is times of fear, when we are afraid, we can look to Mother Sekhmet, the lioness, the fierce protector, protectress of the Neturu, to give us the courage that we need to move through whatever situation we have to move through. Sekhmet can help us to remember that we are powerful and how we can use our power to overcome our fears, to face our fears, to overcome the anxiety that comes with the fears. Because you know, when you are walking the lioness, she will protect you. My first time, actually, that I remember connecting with Sekhmet in this lifetime, I was about 5 years old, and I was sleeping in my bed. And next to my bed was a huge window and a porch that was on the other side of the window. And I was awakened by the barking and the growling of a dog. And I was, pretty much afraid of dogs. I was little, and that dog, it sounded really big. I peeked outside the window, outside of the curtain, to look out the window. And there was a dog on the porch. I had never seen this dog. It was growling, looking directly at me. And I was afraid. And then two cats, not kittens or kitty cats, but a panther and a lioness, jumped up on the porch, growled and roared at the dog. and the dog ran away. And then they turned and looked at me, and I looked at them, and they nodded. They seemed to nod at me. And I blinked, and they were gone. Now, I was living in Chicago when this happened. So I said to myself, I know that I did not see, these huge cats on my porch. And I just remember sitting there. And it was one of those times where I said to myself, I'm never going to forget this. Like, it was just such a vivid vision that and years later, when I learned about Sekhmet, I recalled that dream vision, and I could hear her saying, yes, that was me. That was me with you. Since the beginning, I've been with you. And the journey has been magical, just as that dream was quite magical. Working with Sekhmet um, has definitely saved me in many ways through my life. It has, not only opened the way for me to find my divine purpose, but to step into that purpose with courage and not knowing what the outcome would be, not knowing that I would later, have 12 books about healing. And it really started with me learning about Sekhmet and realizing that she was with me and realizing she was wanting me to do certain things, and that if I listened to her and followed her instructions, that it would be not only divine, but it would be um, fulfilling my purpose for being here on this planet at this time. So I know also with many of the students that I've trained in Kemetic Reiki, they too have been able to find their purpose as healers, because there are so many aspects of healing and so many ways that we could do it. And we all have that divine purpose that we came back here to fulfill. When we live and fulfill our purpose, it makes us even more powerful. And so these things are also in the realm of Sekhmet. This is where she helps us, to be true to ourselves and to live according to our purpose, which is a part of her purpose. Truly. I would also say, because we can't leave it out, that Sekhmet is a fierce warrior. So, just in the same way that she protected me as a child and through my life, she can fight the battles. No matter what battle you have, she has told me there's nothing that she cannot defeat, because she is just that strong and powerful and has the access to all things in nature to work with in that healing realm. So when you have any battles to fight, it can be a battle within yourself, because sometimes that's where the battles start. Battles with others outside of yourself, battles with people at your job or in your relationships, or, you know, even with the courts. As long as you are innocent, she will fight with you, because, of course, she is the enforcer for my aunt. So she may not fight with you if you are not innocent, if you are guilty of any crimes. She's going to want you to reap the consequences of your choices. Um, However, when there's times, and I can give you another story, I have so many. Um, there was a time when one of my students, one of her cousins, had gotten kidnapped. The young lady called us and we prayed and we prayed and asked Sekhmet to bring that girl home, to make sure she was safe, to protect her, while she was gone. And I think we had done a group prayer. And the very next day, we found out the young lady was able to escape her captors. She was able to escape, like she got away, some kind of way. And we all know, we feel and know that it was through our prayers because it was at least 10 of us praying for this young lady. And I mean, it happened so quickly that it just gave us the confidence, that what we're doing is powerful. And so, again, the experiences of working with Sekhmet can be extremely transformative and helpful. If you're fighting any battles, you want to have a energy of protection with you when you're fighting. And Sekhmet is one of the oldest warriors, okay, as far as the pantheon of deities. Her energy is thousands and thousands of years old. And it is so powerful that her images are on the walls of the sacred sites in Egypt to this day. And almost every sacred site you go into, Sekhmet is there, from Cairo down to Aswan. Um, and in fact, there is a space now. Most of the smaller statues in those sacred sites have been taken, but there is still to this day a statue of Sekhmet that stands in one of the sacred temples. I believe it's in Karnak, no, maybe Luxor. And the fact that it's there and the energy at that statue is just a testimony to the power of Sekhmet and the reminder for us of what she represents, because we need that energy right now. On this planet, we need healing right now. We need balance. We need order. We are learning more about Sekhmet so that we can work with her in whatever way we're meant to bring some type of balance, to bring some type of ma'at, some peace, to bring harmony, whether it's just for our families or on a larger scale. That energy of Sekhmet is needed right now to bring an end to these wars and the sickness that is, plaguing the planet right now, to bring the changes that have been promised, that time of peace, which was prophesied to come, is coming through the awakening of the people, the shifting of the consciousness, the bringing of the energy of love, because love is the greatest healer of all. And Sekhmet represents that love power. That energy of love is Sekhmet. That energy of love is power. So we just want to tap into that and don't be distracted by, yes, the sage. Thank you. Sage me. Woo! All right, so I guess I was going a little deep. So we're going to pull back a little bit. And we're going to talk about Sekhmet and her colors. And of course, things that have energy and frequency also have that energy of Sekhmet. So working with the fiery colors like red, of course, orange, yellow are ways to also tap into the energy of Sekhmet. Wearing those colors, using the colored candles, colored light bulbs, so you can have like a red room color therapy thing going on. And also, purple is a color of Sekhmet. The flame also has that purple light, the violet flame, right? And purple is known to vibrate at the highest frequency of the colors. So we find, of course, that the energy, the frequencies of the colors um, are important in our healing process because they help us to understand what is needed. If we need a high frequency, like the purple light, or the lower frequency, like the red energy, is really based on our what we need, our own energy. If we have a low vibration, we're going to want to go with something that has a higher frequency, right? Um, and the color therapy can definitely assist you with your meditations as well, with tapping into the energy of Sekhmet. So, visualizing those colors around you or moving through you while her energy is flowing and activating within you. Visualizing those colors in your home or around your children or wherever they are needed. Sometimes I like to visualize the color waves flowing all through the neighborhood and the city I'm in, and just send that love frequency that way. So definitely, because the Sekhem, it flows, it's energy, it flows. So we can tap into it and use it in that way. Also, we like to work with the crystals, working with the energy of Sekhmet. Sekhmet loves crystals because the frequency of them. So, of course, some of her favorites, I would say, would be tiger's eye, red jasper, sunstone, um, spirit quartz, and amethyst. Little ruby in there, you know what I mean? Carnelian, and of course, citrine and clear quartz because they have that high elevation frequency. But of course, she loves all the crystals. So when you're making offerings to Sekhmet, you can make offerings of crystals. She would receive them and love them. Her altars usually are full of crystals. And when you want to meditate and tap into her energy, of course, make a crystal grid around yourself or in front of you, or hold the crystals in your hand and just, use them to have that energy of Sekhmet magnified to a higher level. Also, flowers. Sekhmet loves flowers. Beautiful colors. So, of course, her colors, we've already mentioned the red, the yellow, purple, but flowers, of course, rose has the highest vibrating fragrance. Um, and she loves roses, lavender, um, carnations as well. But she will receive all flowers, all the flowers. She loves them. Women love flowers. They make us feel good when we see them. They make us smile. Mothers, especially, right? You take flowers to your mother. It's a gift. So it's a gift to Sekhmet to give flowers to her on her altar. And of course, you will want to have um, candles as well to represent that firepower. She also likes incense. good smelling fragrances and oils. So the space smells good. I can imagine in ancient times before there was pollution and there were trees and flowers growing wild, the air was sweet and a little sticky in some places because of so much fruits. So we like to bring that type of energy when we're calling on Sekhmet, that um, fragrances of frankincense and myrrh and copal, um, jasmine, and of course rose and lavender. You know, she loves those smells. When you're working with her, you want to light your incense and meditate with that incense flowing to help you tap into that spiritual realm even deeper, more deeply. Yes. So the altar for Sekhmet. Um, if you feel like you're ready to have an altar and keep it active, you can make offerings to Sekhmet without the altar by just going outside, going to an open field, going to a flower field, because the Sekhem is in the air, right? But if you feel like you want to work with her on a regular basis, you will want to create that altar for her. And the altar should have things that she likes. So you can have a picture of Sekhmet, add some crystals to represent the earth. You will add a plant because, of course, she loves plants and flowers. You can also add a statue of Sekhmet if you want. Um, Add something else like an ankh that is also sacred to Sekhmet. And then your spiritual healing tools. So if you have a pendulum, or you might have some nice oils, some rose oils, you could put that in a nice bottle and add that to the altar. And then just, over time, you'll find that your altar will grow, but this will become your sacred space to connect with and work with the Great Mother Sekhmet. You can make your offerings there. Once you build it, you can use a red cloth or yellow or even white, and then just add some red accents. I like to put a little gold because, of course, Sekhmet is the sparkling one. She likes some sparkly, fancy, flashy stuff now. So make sure you make that altar beautiful and pretty. It should be pleasing to you. If it feels right for you, then it's right. And of course, allow it to have balance on both sides. If you put a candle on one side, put the water on the other side, that type of balance. Um, and then um, you'll make your offerings there. We like to make offerings to Sekhmet mostly Tuesdays, because that is the warrior day, the Mars day. That's the day that her energy is the most powerful. However, you can make offerings to her at any time. You would just go and say a prayer and leave your offerings as needed. If you have problems, um, health issue that you need help with, you will want to make the offerings more often. If you have battles that you need help fighting, you will want to make those offerings more often as well, and let your offerings match your needs. So if you need sweetness in your life, give her something sweet. If she don't like a lot of sweets, you could give her some red fruits that are sweet, like pomegranate, watermelon, cherries, or berries. But cakes and stuff like that. Maybe some red wine. She would prefer. Um, and as I mentioned, the flowers, the crystals, the ginger, garlic, peppers, things like that, we give her to as tokens of appreciation, you know, for all that she's doing for us. So I am feeling to share a segment song with you all. Um, and before I do that, does anyone have any questions that you would like to ask? the Sekhmet sound. Dua Sekhmeti, aku jasuneti. 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 All right, so we're going to do a Sekhmet meditation. So I'm just going to ask that you keep your eyes closed. Breathe deeply in through the nose, out through the mouth. Allow yourself to relax more and more with each breath that you take. And just breathe deeply. Visualize yourself now out in the desert. There's sand around you everywhere you look. You can see the pyramids ahead of you. And just feel the sun shining over your head. There's a light breeze, and you're walking to these pyramids. And before you get there, you see the energy begin to shift ahead of you. The sand is swirling around and around. And within that swirl, you begin to see the lioness, the great mother Sekhmet, before you. As you approach her energy, you can feel the heat from her body. You begin to sweat just a little bit. And you feel the warm energy of Sekhmet moving through you. You get closer and you can feel her breathing on you as you face her. You can feel her power. You're breathing in the power of Sekhmet. She is sharing power, infinite, divine, healing power with you. It's moving through your head, awakening, activating the dormant parts of your brain. Is moving through your eyes, through your nose, through your ears. You can feel it tingling, that power, as it moves down your throat, through your chest, through your arms, clearing away stagnant energy, making everything flow the way that it's meant to. Feel that healing power moving through your organs, bringing balance, bringing light, bringing healing to every part of you. Breathe deeply. Feel that energy of Sekhmet flowing from your head to your toes. Allow it to restore you, to balance you, to heal you as needed. As it flows. And just breathe deeply. Allow the goddess, Great Mother, to embrace you, to hold you close, giving you a shield of protection. To our Sekhmet, to our Mother, thank you. We thank you. Thank you. Take a deep breath. Gonna back up. Moving carefully and slowly with gratitude. Through our Sekhmet, we thank you as you make your way back. Bring yourself back to your sacred space. Breathe deeply. Bring yourself back to your body. Take another deep breath. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. How's everybody feeling? nice and Sekhmetish. Yes, feel the power. Absolutely. All right. Well, that is pretty much everything that I have to share.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. This session was awesome. If you could tell them where they can connect with you, where they can find you, and yeah, all the places for what you do.
Okay. Of course, you can find me on social media: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at Raseki Arts Temple. On Instagram is Raseki_arts_temple. And TikTok is the same. Beware of the fake pages. I do have the fake pages. So always go with the page that has the most followers. That's the one that's been there the longest. Also, you can check me on my website. I have two. RasekiHealing.com is RasekiHealing.com. And RasekiStore.com is where you'll find the books. We have other healing products. I also have a Sekhmet Healing Oracle deck. So, yes, if you are interested, yeah, I've been working with Sekhmet for a long time. So, we were finally able to get the deck together. In fact, I can, hold on, show you what it looks like real quick. It's always one around. Oh, this is just the book. Yeah. But it's cover Sekhmet Healing Oracle.
Oh,
And it
wow.
does come
Oh, I'm
with
so excited. I've been looking for I've been looking for an oracle deck for like Sekhmet, and here you are. And I know Michelle in the corner there, like we both went, ooh, because yeah, amazing. Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. All right. And then the Sekhmet Rising book is also available on Amazon as well. So, yeah, you got one. Yes. She got a few of my books. Yay! Give thanks. Thank you so much. Well, it truly has been a pleasure having this time. I always love talking about the Great Mother Sekhmet. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And I look forward to, connecting with you all on social media.
Dua, dua. Angkum job, Jed. All right. So following that amazing presentation from our sister, Kajara NebtHet, we're going to be following up to hear from Marie Coveley. So the floor is yours.
Oh, I like it when people say that. Wow. Well, just honoring Kajara there, like honestly, I could have just sat and drifted off for that for hours. How like so authentic, so powerful, so deep. In fact, I think I actually cried through a lot of it, which is why I had my eyes closed, And like, wow, what a beautiful, beautiful introduction, really, that I can float into now. And well, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name's Marie Coveley. I call myself, we all have titles, don't we? But we do, it's like my principles, if you like. I call myself an initiatrix, okay? So basically, my job, my mission is to initiate others into their power, their blueprint, their tablet of light, because I feel that we all have this divine mastery. And as Kajara was talking, it's about connecting to that power, that strength, that courage within. So my job is not to teach and take people all the way through. It's to open the door, and then it's over to you. and I hold space for that. So I call myself an initiatrix for that reason. And I'm also an alchemist as well, which each and every one of us are. I turn thoughts into things. We take low vibes into high vibes, and essentially I would actually say that my whole mission here is to activate our Heka, which is our magical medicine, and be able to really unlock get a very clear understanding of what our mission is, what our purpose is. Now, your purpose is your power toolbox, what you came here with, and then your mission is how you express that in the world. And that can change. It's not just one big mission. There's many different missions. And it is so important for us to step into the world like now, which is why we've been through this year of transformation. It's now time for us to step out and express that which we've been holding inside. I always call it the Gospel of Marie because that's my truth. I want to know about the gospel of all of you guys as well, because we all have one, and everybody has the same kind of power, the same kind of energy. And it's really important that we pitch up to the party now and express ourselves in the world and celebrate each other, you know? So in a way, we're all, what I do know has been happening, a little bit of an energy update, is like, since we've come through this massive power of transformation, we've all exploded through the other side, or if you haven't, you're about to. And now all of a sudden people are like, whoa, I've got these gifts. And if you already had gifts, they've been upgraded. You know what I mean? So the game has changed completely because you've awoken from a spell that now all of a sudden you're like, wow, I can see that's the new timeline. So we kind of like got all of these gifts on board, and now we're like, right, what do I do with them? Hot potato. And that's kind of where my magic comes in. I've got something I share with people called the Heka codes. Heka is magic and medicine. It's not something I'm teaching anyone. It's ancient teachings. It's ancient wisdom for modern day living. So I'm just here to remind you that you have that within you, because everyone is an ascended master, right? So this session that I just thought would probably be the best thing for me to share with you to get a taster is I'm going to go through a very, very sort of like not too intense. We're going to skim over the top of how to work with Heka and alchemy. And we're going to work with Sekhmet, and we're going to bring her into what I call that sacred template of intention plus action equals creation. All right. That is the alchemical formula. Now, when you work with the Heka codes, there's lots of creator gods in Egypt. But of course, you know, we have Sia, Hu, and Heka. Sia is the god of perception. Hu is the god that speaks it into being, so the spoken word. And then Heka is the manifestation of the idea in the physical world. So it's a very, very powerful 3-step process to actually work with. And we're working with Sekhmet today, but you can work with Yeshua with this or whatever. But Sekhmet is very, very powerful with me because she has the transformative power of her fires. So she's an alchemist, you know? So just before I dive into that, and just to give you like my truth, as it were, now my whole life has been about inadequacy, you know, being so super small and just wanting to hide, thinking I'm not got that much to share in the world. And when I fought drug addiction, 3 nervous breakdowns, and kind of like ended up really at the bottom of my life, as it were, thinking it was all over, I suddenly got an invitation to go to Zimbabwe on holiday. And of course, I was 23 years old, told by my parents, change the narrative. Otherwise, I think if I'd stayed in the UK, I probably would have died from drug addiction and bad things going on. So I took the opportunity. I went to Zimbabwe. So I actually am broadcasting from Africa. This is where I am right now. So I went to Zimbabwe. I met my husband 5 days later. Well, he picked us up from the airport. 5 days later, he asked me to marry him. I did. And that just basically landed me in Africa. So it's like, yeah, don't overthink things. Just feel it, you know? And that's what happened. And then that's when really essentially my journey began, because I didn't realize back then that Sekhmet was calling me onto our continent. So then flash forward, and like, you know, a good few years, 15, 20 years later, I find myself in Egypt. And, you know, I didn't even want to go to Egypt. I wanted to go to Peru, actually. And I ended up in Egypt. And we went on this group. And I remember being sandwiched up against the wall, up against Sekhmet. And everybody was grappling to try and touch her. And I felt so like, this is so wrong. And I heard this bellowing voice, and I didn't know about my channeling abilities there or anything. And she was like, you're going to come to Egypt and you're going to hold tours. They will not look like this, but you are to bring your own groups. And I was like, what? Who is this? No, 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 no. And I ran away from it because the inadequacy then I went into it even deeper, very, very small, very, very fearful. I suffered with anxiety all the time. So I fought it and I went back to Egypt. I fought it and I went back to Egypt because I was just playing small, going on other people's groups. times. And then it just became undeniable. And Sekhmet got stronger and stronger and stronger. Prior to that first Egypt trip, I didn't even know who she was. I just know that I bought a statue, I brought her home, and that's when the floodgates opened. And when I say rapid transformation, let me tell you, you know, when it's your purpose that needs to be fulfilled, hold on to your hat. The only reason it's traumatic is because you're fighting and you're resisting. Let go, let God, and just, you know, go with the flames of the fire, right? You know what I mean? And just let her take you where she needs to take you. So I kind of like echo Kajara here by saying that, like, Sekhmet, even though she's alchemy and she's a healer and she's the goddess of war, sacred purpose, man. Sacred purpose. She is the one who's literally going to help you step from the old timeline into the new one. And as I'm speaking now, I just feel this surge of like, yes, yes, yes. But you have to give your sacred yes, because otherwise there is no free will. So you can sit there, or what I say is let go or be dragged, because that's essentially what we're boiling it down to now. So just stop resisting and just understand that life's a lot better than that. Let her show you. So there I was, flash forward, ended up going to the sacred lands in Egypt on my own sacred pilgrimage with my husband and my best friend Waleed, who's my other partner in Egypt, my business partner. And we started doing tours, we started doing groups. And it's a very, very unique offering that I offer when I take people through the temples, because that story I've just shared with you is indeed how I teach, because all of us come from a place of smallness, that we're not loved, lack, whatever it might be. And when I look at people, I see into your tablet of light, I see into your blueprint, and I can see when you're speaking, I see something else. I can hear exactly what it is that you've got going on. I'm like, there's their superpower. And that is what I've developed. And that's what Sekhmet helped me understand on how I can actually help people. And as you can tell, I'm a whole bunch of bubbles anyway. So when you're sat in my space, we're like, yeah, let's do it. And I didn't realize that that was part of my Sekhmet frequency, to put some flames up our butts so we can get this done, right? So I now walk through the temples teaching this on how to overcome your smallness, on how to overcome your doubt, your fear, transform it, working with Sekhmet and all the other gods and goddesses, but we're talking like much about Sekhmet today, transforming through fire, transforming, changing the base metal into gold, right? Which is the fear into courage. As soon as you believe, truly believe that you are not your past experiences and your lowest vibration emotions, as soon as you believe that this is truth, then the games begin. And I mean it in a good way. You start to get in it, you start to have joy, you have successes, and you meet other like-minded people, and it becomes very, very powerful, because you're all of a sudden living in joy. You're not stuck in the prison of your mind, you know? So I'm going to share with you a little bit of marine magic here on how I'm able to transmute on a more of a day-to-day basis, on how we can bring Sekhmet in to kind of break down the blockages that stops you getting out the floodgates, right? So we're going to begin. So as I said, Heka is obviously alchemy, right? It's the magic and medicine of Egypt. It's manifestation. So it's a very, very powerful frequency, and it has the ability to manifest anything that you think of, or your heart's desires, let's say. So now we bring in Sekhmet, Mother Sekhmet, Lady of the Flame, activator of purposes, you know, bringer of the way, whichever way you want to say it. Now we're bringing her into the mix now. So this first section that we're going to move into, this first portal, is very much about intention, because remember, intention plus action equals creation. So we start with intention. So I invite you now to how to like think of something that you want to create immediately, or down the line, it matters not. It may be an emotion that you are just done with. Okay, it could be fear. Like you could be like me, constantly stuck in your anxiety. Whatever is coming to you right now, think of something, the brightest star in the sky. What is it that you want to manifest? And it's something that has to be tangible. So this could be quite fun. It could be that you want to eventually get into the gym and get that fire in the body that Sekhmet speaks about. You want to create something like a project that's just been stagnant. You know, it could be, can I have the confidence to actually move to that place I want to move to, or leave the job? You get the gist. So I want you to take a moment, and even if you write it down or just bring it into your energy field, what is your intention? because you're going to take this through 1111 as well, which is major power. So what is your intention? And allow your being, allow Sekhmet, Mother Sekhmet, as she walks around you slowly, she just paces around you. And what she's doing, she's creating a beautiful, creative, mild fire energy, nothing too intense, just something to get the creative juices flowing. And she purrs, and it brings a vibration to your heart. You find yourself opening up to infinite possibilities. You find yourself thinking a little less. What is in your heart's desire? It is very much aligned with your purpose, and the way you know is because it just feels good. What is it that comes to you? What is your intention? You may speak this out loud. You may write this down in scripture. You may just think it and hold the vision, because this is about vision. What's the highest vision that you can hold in your mind, in your heart right now? So as we know, as soon as we get these big ideas, doubt creeps in. So we are going to transform that. We're going to transmute that. So I want you to still hold your highest timeline, your highest idea. Remember the fire that she brings. Sekhmet says, I bring my fire in to destroy, to dispel, to bring destruction so you can rebuild. But the fire of alchemy can also ignite creation. But right now, we're going to be building those fires slightly as we hold the intention. And we are now going to step in and work with Sekhmet. So keeping your eyes closed, staying with that energy and frequency. Inhale and exhale. Find yourself now walking barefoot on stone cold slabs. And as you allow your mind's eye to adjust, you see that you are walking indeed in Karnak, but you are within her sacred temple. And as you approach the temple, there is an offering table right there outside the door. You have some beautiful blue lotuses in your hand, very representative of her son, Nefertum. Beautiful creation. You place these beautiful blue lotus on the offering table, and you can sense and feel that she summons you in now. Keep holding your intention in your heart. And as you do so, you're being summoned now to really stand true in what it is that you are calling forth to create. Because as much as she is love and power, she also takes no nonsense. If procrastination is your disability, she will clear that, let it be known. And as you walk into her chamber, you're astounded. Well, there she stands in all of her power and majesty. Before her is a fire burning in a metal plate on the floor. But you can tell it's not a normal fire. It's got a lot of energy to it. These aren't just normal flames. And she interrupts now and says, no, these are my sacred flames of Sekhmet, the sacred flames that will be born anew for whatever goes into it. But one must have the strength, the power, and the commitment before one interacts with my sacred flames. So you're feeling your intention in your being now. And she asks you to connect with it deeply. And now she asks for you to allow your shadow, that which always comes up and trips you up. Doubt. There's that procrastination. Fear. The yeah, but. She asks you a question. If I ask you to action this tomorrow morning, as soon as you wake, what will be? the issue in the road. That is going to give you an indication in your life as to what comes forth. So allow any shadow to come to the surface now, because she can see it, and she can see it building around your energy field. And I can visualize you actually holding your intention as if it's a baby in your arms, because that's what an intention is. It's a birthing, it's a baby, it's a creation. So you're holding this beautiful energy of your intention, your thing that you want so much, but there's so much darkness around your shoulders. And she said, this will not do. But it is accepting, and it is okay to allow these shadows to be here. But this cannot stay. Before you are called to the next step, holding your intention, she asks you, from the shadow speak, what is the story you continually tell yourself? Identify the shadow. I don't have enough money. I'll fail. I'm not good enough. All of these things taint the formula. She now asks you to reconnect. Now you have that awareness on your intention. And with that, she pushes you into those flames. And suddenly there's an explosion of fire igniting around you. You are holding your baby, which actually is your creation, your intention, and it glows up so much light. But suddenly there's a frazzling and a burning of all of the shadow that's around you that hinders your lion's heart. Let it be burnt away now, she says. She raises her arms, and these flames just rip through every dimension, every direction, every thought form, which might be negative. Let it burn through now. Suddenly you feel the intensity of the flames calm down a little. And from going from fury, they feel soothing. And you are holding this intention in your heart, in your arms. And suddenly the flames die down. And she now says, bring that intention into your heart fully now. Embody it. Receive it. It is yours. Untainted. Wholesome. And true and very possible. This is your intention. And as you step back now, from what was a fury of flames is just ash and dust. And all that remains is this beautiful citrine crystal. She bends down and she picks up the crystal, and it is igniting with all of those flames of power and promise and prowess and presence. She says to you, in this crystal lies your intention, your powerful ability to bring thoughts into things. In here is your crystalline channel, the ability to be able to see into the highest timeline, no longer restricted or interrupted by shadow. And with that, she places it right into your solar plexus. Receive that crystal now. Oof, explosion of yellow, beautiful energy. But her solar plexus is actually Sekhmet's chakra. Breathe it in, because this is your place of willpower, of will, courage, enthusiasm, and you feel that ripple through your being. And suddenly you feel completely embodied by this intention. It's in you. You are it. It now has a living, breathing frequency through you. So now, keeping that energy, that intention clear, crystal clear, untainted, open your eyes and make any notes that you wish to before we move on to the next alchemical process. So just know how this works. You may get a vision, you may not get a vision. Trust and know that it may not be known to you fully right now, but down the line, this medicine that you're activating, this work that you are doing, this heka you are bringing forth, is going to gain traction very, very quickly. So it is not always in the moment that we go, well, did anything happen there? Trust me, it has been ordained. It has been given its sacred yes. It's in there. It's done. Trust and know that it is done. We now move on to the next stage, which is her most favorite because it's action. So Sekhmet's all about fire and action. So now in this stage, so you have your idea. It's so wonderful. That's the easy part, actually. Oh, it's so wonderful to think of all these magical things. And then you're now going to be called to action it, show up in the world and do something about it. Yes, you are. That's where she really, really, really gets to work. Okay. Now, just to give you another template of Sekhmet, for me, I always find with these creative processes and endeavors I've been on a lot on with Sekhmet, when you work through this process, she'll come through and she'll tear stuff down. When we did the Hecker Codes groups last year, she came in like a freight train because that first stage of getting the vision right, she tore down belief systems. And in a way, it was like, it was trigger trauma. Everybody was just like, what? And it came in and we were working in a group. So it was very, very powerful. And then we went into the sacred waters of Hathor, into the womb, calmed it down a little bit. And then once we were ready to be reborn and resurrected, rising from the ashes, which is where we are now in this current moment of energy, boof, she comes in and that's where you feel the creative force and power and creation in her fires. So one destroys, let it burn, and the other one ignites. Okay, so there's many, many different ways you can work with her sacred fire, right? Now we go into action. So this is the platform you're coming into land. So for example, it could be that you have a business idea. What is requiring you to take the next step? Could be a website. It's going to be a lot more human kind of experiences now. Do you need to go and do a course? What steps? This is the question that she was saying. What steps would you take tomorrow to actually help build the template for this beautiful creation to land into? Because this is creation. This is alchemy. And like Merlin says, without risk, there is no magic. And I'm going to say that again. Without risk, there is no magic, no Hecker. Because you have to step out of your comfort zone to create such energy to be able to be met by spirit, right? So you have to meet spirit halfway. And that is where you got to get your lion's heart on, because it's not always easy. I know that. But guess what? Once you get there, you'll be like, why didn't I do that before? Trust, trust, trust. Okay? Trust yourself. So now the platform, we got to come into land. Okay. So now this is where I'm going to float, because I want to clear the shadow, and I'm tapping into what has been my history as well as everybody else as a conscious creator. Failed missions. Let's bring that on the table now. Failed missions. Now, if we go back to past lifetimes, how many times have we been here? That's why we've come back again and again and again. This lifetime, this incarnation, we can actually clear all karma. It's possible, but like last time we couldn't. So of course, there's a lot of memory, especially with Atlantis, where there's a lot of guilt and memory, but that was back then. It doesn't even exist anymore, okay? It all comes into coming into your presence, into your still space, into your heart. So now it's actually just about clearing the memory banks and getting rid of all of those false ideas and preconceptions that you failed anywhere. Because the thing is, we do fail, but we have to fail to be a master. How, if you want to be a master, you can't not fail. Eckhart Tolle says failure leads into success, and success leads into failure, and failure leads into success. It's alchemy. So you have to die to be reborn. You have to fail to be successful. And if you don't know poverty, how can you know richness? Right? That is basically about the balance, like Kajara was speaking about. It's about the balance. So embrace the process more, be less hard on yourself, and just welcome in that those ebbs and flows, because it's important, right? So now we're going to go through an alchemical process now of basically with the help of Sekhmet, because she'll bring the fires through you where it needs to come. Okay. So we're now going to basically facing the shadow of a failed mission, and we're going to transform that into something that is successful in this now life. Okay. I want you to visualize it in this now life. Okay. So going back to your intention, your idea, you might be the idea. Being more expanded, blueprint turned on, but you might have a specific something you're working with. So revisit it again now, please. And I want you to come into the space once more as we continue to walk with Sekhmet, right? So closing your eyes and just allowing her presence to step in, because we are working kind of like quite furiously. As she kind of, yeah, we are working quite furiously with this, but you're going to get the fires. This is how it can roll sometimes with Sekhmet. So now we are coming into the second stage of our alchemical formula of taking action. So of course that makes us feel quite fearful, and then we procrastinate and we start looping, and self-doubt creeps in. And that comes from a product of the mind recreating the wheel, looping with the same old, same old. So how does one disengage from that? Sekhmet brings us back to our heart once more. And she says, one must always know their lion's heart. One must always know how to come home. You are in a human experience as well as a starseed, higher being experience. And there is a balance, an ebb and flow, a weaving in and out. And there must be less judgment on oneself when one falls out of presence, because when one thinks about being present, it means you're back in it again. So there is the weaving. It's the human experience that takes us out. But we need to be more forgiving and accepting of our human aspects, because that is what we are. So the only way that you will be a master working with the principles of Ma'at, Hermetic principles, her principles, is by allowing your human aspects to be in the space. To try and not be with that is going to leave you in a concrete position. So make sure that you are more forgiving. Forgiveness and acceptance is the key to that joy, to allowing your human in, right? So now as we step on to the second stage of creation, we are essentially agreeing to bring this into physical form, into my physical body, into my life. What does it look like? And of course, there is fear. There is always fear that comes in when we speak about living in the physical. So now, clearing any density in the road. I want you to literally look in front of you, the road. It could be a beautiful horizon ahead of you. You've got this magic in your heart, this intention, and you're looking at the horizon and the sun is setting and it's beautiful and you are getting there. You're not slowing down for anyone. Yet there is energy and distortion that may come in on the road. So I want you to walk slowly. And as you walk, she whispers in your ear, it is time to shapeshift, sweet one. And as you hear that, you start to run. And as you run, you suddenly change and morph into a cat. You are actually turning into a lioness. And you find yourself just galloping towards the sun, towards the supreme God Ra. And it is so freeing. You now go off-road and it's a very dusty, desert, arid place. You're on a concrete road. Now you're just running through the desert. This is freeing. This is good. This is freedom. And as you run, you can see like a black cloud, a pocket of density, and it is screaming at you, failed missions, turn around, go back. You are not safe. You dive into it and you eat it. You bring it right in and transmute it with the fires in your belly. You consume it, because that's what Sekhmet does. She hunts the shadow. So you eat that failure of missions and you bring it into your belly because it ain't true, and you carry on just running, feeling so free, hearing the thud of your lion paws. You're so strong and powerful, and you are completely in your lion's heart. You are fully embodied Sekhmet right now, and you keep running and running and running. And then there's another black cloud in front of you, like a force field, and it is screaming at you. Oh no, go back. You're not safe. This is all your lack and limitation. I got no money. I'm going to die if I do this. What am I going to do? I need to turn around. You dive into it once more and you consume. This is a big one. You consume this fear, these limitations, these not real beliefs telling you that you are going to die if you step out of your safety cave. Eat it all up. Anything that comes up, fear, anxiety, all of the things. Bring it all into your belly. Burn it all up. You let out an almighty roar to the sun, which is pretty much set now, and you carry on galloping. And there is one more on the horizon. just at that tippy top point, just as you tip over the mountain where everything just explodes and things start flowing to you. What is there? What faces you? This is a you decision now to tap into that energy. What faces you to make you turn around? What comes up the most in your life? What is that big black manifestation? What is it? Feel it in your body, even if it doesn't have a name. And now run at it as fast as you can. Attack it, eat it, consume it, hunt it, feed yourself, just as Sekhmet does when you give her your shadow. You're also able to do this. And you eat it all up and it transmutes and your fires in your belly just, wow, done. And then suddenly you change from lion and you are back in your human self. Your heart is pounding because you've just done a massive cardio run. It's pounding. And you've got to the top now and you're overlooking so much in the distance. There are cities of light. There are deserts. There are mountains. There are lakes. There is so much out there. And you have this overwhelming sense of freedom. So much freedom. And you feel that energetic baby, that intention come online. Your vision, your third eye activates because your third eye is very connected to Sekhmet's solar plexus. The two go hand in hand. And you can see even more vision from the initial intention you brought together. And you're like, this is just infinite. I can create anything I want. I don't need to hone in on that one thing, thinking I've got just one shot. I don't. I can have it all. Not in a greedy way, just in a freedom way. And as you stand there, it has now become nighttime. And as you stand there on the top of this beautiful sandy hill, overlooking the cities of light, you look above you, and it is just an array of stars. So much so you can literally put your hand in the sky and touch them. And they are twinkling and they are dancing for you. And as the Egyptians always said, we are a reflection of the stars, as above, so below. And you feel your star essence just start to twinkle and shine back at them. And there's this overwhelming sense of freedom, but an absolute absence of anything which is separation. You feel so loved and at peace and safe. And knowing that you're safe gives you or rather knowing that you can manifest anything you want, because now you know, you can't unknow. You have Sekhmet within you, around you. Transformative fires for Heka. You let out a big sigh. And I want you to take a moment or two to actually feel in your bodies what it feels like to be safe, to feel positive, and know that you have everything within you to create and manifest anything you want in this life, and that you deserve joy, because joy is success and success is joy. Take it in, sweet ones. Take it in. Now, coming back to the space. Still staying in the energy though, because we're not quite done yet. And I'll let you just, if you want to take some notes or journal anything, have a sip of water. And of course, if anybody wants to share or ask any questions, please do. We're at the pinnacle point now. And it's so funny, we're talking about fire. This office is circular and the whole is glass frontage. And we've just burst into our African summer. And let me tell you, I am on fire. It's just damn hot in this room. So I'm feeling the desert vibes. Okay, so now we're going to move into the creation phase now. Okay, so this is full acceptance of power. So when we work with Sekhmet, okay, there is an acceptance of core power, right? And a lot of us forget that, and we have to jump onto the next stage of just like, I want to proclaim my power. And I've spoken about this a million times for those that have been on my groups, because in Africa, I've been blessed enough to actually observe the lions, because we live in Zimbabwe and we're in Cape Town, and I get to just hang out on the weekends and just watch the lions and watch the mama lions with their kids, and and watch how they work as a pride together. And I've said this before many times, watch the lions in the wild. We're here to observe nature. Sekhmet's there. She's there. We learn so much from that. And you see this organized, like there's no chaos, okay? Because they have the balance, meaning the divine masculine, the big lion, will protect their space and make sure no other males come into the space, because what happens when they do, they kill the cubs. That's not cool. So big lion kind of like protects the women. The women hunt, okay? So they have their roles, and obviously they look after each other's cubs. You know what I mean? There's a very, 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 I mean, Nelson's loving that women go and do all the hunting. You know what? I'm actually quite rubbish in the kitchen, so I don't know where that went wrong. So yeah. So this is where you actually really, really embody the lion frequency, when you start to like observe things like that there is order and balance to everything, talking about being an upholder of Ma'at. So now as we've accepted our core power, because that would have been the intention part of the alchemical formula, we're now going to go into creation, which is the explosive force of Heka, where something comes in fully manifested in your life, right? You can touch and feel it. It's there, right? It's coming into land. It's landed, right? So this is where your full acceptance of power comes in. Your heart expands right open, and your lion, it roars. It's like, I am here. It's okay to be me. I am unapologetically me. And what I love saying, because I've been saying it to myself, is I'm taking up space now. What do you guys say? Real estate. I'm taking up real estate, taking up space now, because it's okay to be me. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's okay. So that's where we are now. So now we are going to be birthing something. So as we know with Sekhmet and her flames of fire in her belly, because we've just transmuted everything, she also births things. So as I said in the beginning, we've gone through the destroyer phase of like pulling everything away that we don't need. And now we're actually going into the ignition phase of igniting that which needs to be reborn. Phoenix rising from the ashes. So now going and revisiting your intention, okay? Now you've spit and polished it, and you've cleared all the distortion around it. Now what happens is, like, this creation, this idea starts to get a heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom. And it's up to you, just like a newborn baby, to bath, feed, take care of this baba, and make sure that you feed it every day so it grows up strong. So if it's a business idea, or if it's a relationship, if it's yourself, like, how would that look like if you're wanting to look after yourself? You go and take yourself to the gym. Make sure that you don't sit there and basically get heart disease. Don't eat rubbish food, eat good food. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's nice to have cake, but not every day for dinner. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like, you're going to be full of toxins. So it's like, this is like where you've got to feed a good energy, good frequency. This even spans out to who's your counsel. You cannot be in high vibration when your friend base or your environment is toxic. Okay, because that's just going to breed more illness, and Sekhmet don't like illness, right? So, it's all of these things: relationships, friends, where you live, what you put in your mouth, your physical regime, your energetic self-caring. Now we go back out even further. Now, if it's a business idea, you don't share that idea with everybody. You look after it, you nurture it. Do you know what I mean? You only support it with good things. So this is how it is. This is the creation phase. So it's not like it just gets given to you. You have to commit. You have to show up, and you have to be dedicated to your own process, because you're important. You must value yourself, because you are very important, right? So now we're going to go into like almost like the full vision. Okay, so vision is everything, the full vision, the full feeling. And the idea, and I'm going to open it up a little bit at the end so Sekhmet can speak to you and give you any guidance between you and her, you and the mother, to actually see what guidance she might just say one word. Sometimes I just get a whisker, you know what I mean? And it can be a flash like that. Don't try too hard. Just, you know, you might want to channel right, whatever, but just allow her to speak to you. And if you do not get the message at the end, you would have done, because she never not delivers it. It will come out when you're having a conversation with somebody, or she'll deliver it to you in a way that's going to knock your socks off, and you're going to prick your liners up and go, oh, wow, look at that, you know, and it may not be here, but trust that that guidance has been planted and solidified here. So we're really going to deepen your connection with Sekhmet now. Okay. So here we go. We're going into the birthing. This is what I do, spiritual birthing. Anybody want to hold my hand? Now we grind down and we squeeze it out. You know what I mean? Okay, so now taking a nice big deep breath. Let it go. Breathing in and let it go. And one more now. Inhale and let it go. So now I want you to now really bring in the energy that this is the full acceptance of your power. When we manifest and we work with Heka, what happens is when we ask for it, it is given straight away. So why is it that so many of us feel blocked, forgotten about, that it's just not happening? Because you haven't opened your lion hearts open enough, wide enough to receive your gift, your prize. Sekhmet, Sekhmet, Mother Divine, bring us abundance to our minds, to our hearts as well. Open your heart every day, she says. You sit at the altar, you look at the sun, you call her in. Open your heart. For the only issue here is that you are not opening wide enough to all the blessings that she wishes to give to you. So maybe the focus here is to worry less about working so hard with my sacred fires to manifest something. And it is all about opening your heart to know that you are loved by me so much. You are loved. And it is about receiving. So now feel your energy field expand. Feel your heart expand. It's okay to receive. So now with this beautiful creation, this intention that you have brought through the layers of Sekhmet's alchemical process, she brings you now here to this place. And now this is about allowance. This is about acceptance. This is about receiving. So you've done all the hard work, as she says, facing your shadow, running through the desert, consuming any blocks that may be in the way of you being on the physical plane to be expressed in a magical way. But yet now, when the gift needs to be handed to you fully, one retracts. This cannot be so, she says. It cannot be so. For you are a child of Sekhmet. And she roars loudly. So now, she stands by you now, holding your hand in her paw. And she stares into the distance. And she starts to bring in the powerful, powerful son of Supreme God Ra. And she's just staring with her fiery eyes, holding your hand. And she squeezes your hand harder in an intention to get you to look at the sun as well. Receive your prize, sweet one. Receive your prize. You feel the fire ignite in your being. You feel everything in your space, even your sacral chakra opens, for you are about to birth that idea, that intention. She calls for you to gaze into the sun now, opening up your third eye. And now you are to receive that which you intended. Visualize what it feels like having it now. Visualize what it feels like to live it now. Visualize what it feels like to have in physical form that which is yours. And why do you try so hard to have what you already have, to be who you already are? That is the resistance, letting that go now. So allowing the Heka to move through you now as she holds your hand, you're both staring at the sun Ra, and you can feel the energy and frequency activating, opening up all pathways and portals in your physical being to receive your prize. And now all of a sudden, I want you to visualize your very thing, even if it's you, even if it's a more healed you, if you were working on an issue, if it's an idea, a project, a thing. Visualize it being in physical form in front of you now. It's almost like burst out of your energy field. And I want you to see what it looks like. If it's a business, it could be a logo. If it's money, it's got a bow around it. If it's a beloved, it's got a bow around it. Whatever. Just connect with it in physical form. What does it look like? And now feel the heartbeat. If it is a business idea, feel the heartbeat of this being, because it is your business being of light. That which you've always wanted to do and express yourself in the world. Feel the heartbeat of what you who and what you've just birthed. If it's a beloved, connect with their heart, feel their frequency. If it is a more healed you with all your gifts and abilities online, light, expansive, connect with that. And it is not in separation that I'm calling this forth. I'm calling it into the physical plane. Now, once you've held that connection, now ask for one message. And it may come from Sekhmet, or it may come from your business being of light, your intention, whichever it speaks. What is the message? What do they need from you to take your first tentative steps to igniting the physical as of tomorrow? Done. What is the message? What needs to be done? Where do you go to first? And now, really tapping into your everyday life and being in this way and getting excited at the vision that comes in the next week, the next month, down the line, new timeline 2025. What does that look like? How exciting. And now I wish you to put a golden pyramid of protection around you, your creation. Sekhmet walks around. She's charging it with powerful, powerful flame energy. Her energy. Ain't no one gonna mess with you, protecting your everything. And as that pyramid comes down over you, it almost like anchors you into the earth plane, just like the Great Pyramid. You are here. And to bring the Great Pyramid's energy and frequency in now, that was a group effort. Those that are in construction, the Lyrans, us, all of the starseed groups, as it were, families, we came together, we assisted Thoth, we brought the pyramids together. It was a group effort, and it was a physical manifestation that stood the test of time. So what legacy are you going to leave behind? She says. What are you going to throw the gauntlet into the ground and show up for no matter what? Do you wish to stay here, or do you wish to step in your new timeline? One sends you into propulsion of repeating the same cycles, and one does not. Choose, because you have the choice. And she shows you the Great Pyramid now. Powerful, powerful creation. Strong foundation, sturdy, strong, as are you. And what you have brought into the physical plane right now is exactly that. Never underestimate that. Power of one seed doesn't just grow a tree. It can grow a whole forest. Expand your belief system. Expand your vision. And just to bring this into the close now, she says, whenever shadow comes in, which it will, be the master of your energy and emotions. And she's calling you now. Don't hesitate. Take a moment, stop what you're doing, ignite her sacred fires, put it in there, give it to her. This is what she feeds from. Feed her. Do not hold back. That is what she's here for. Keep growing, keep transforming. And now taking a nice big deep breath in. You are protected, you are held, you are wholesome. Bringing it in. And exhale. Bring yourself back into this seat you're sitting in. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Now I invite you to revisit this intention, what you've put down, and I wish for it to have a special place in your journal, because what that portal you've just opened there, when you journal on creations, it opens the portal, it gives it life. Okay, when it's all just up here or in your heart, it hasn't landed. So for those of you that really dig this or not, you can go onto my YouTube channel and there are little Sekhmet masterclasses that you can do. And there's even a Heka recorded masterclass that I've recorded for you to go through that process again, to remind you of your alchemical powers of creation. All right. Because that's all that's missing here. You just sat there believing, or maybe you're not, do you know what I mean? But like thinking that you're not that master creator, and you are, and you've got Sekhmet on side. So, you know, it's a very, very simple formula to actually keep you grounded, because energy likes order. So without it, we can get a little bit lost, but energy likes order. That's your divine feminine, the idea, into the divine masculine. That's why, and I'm like, I know Nelson's like an absolute master of this, is like, that's why Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, right? That was how they worked together. You know, it's like one needs the other, otherwise it's fruitless. So I hope you all enjoyed that. And it was a fast, furious journey through it. And I'm just going to leave in honor of Sekhmet now. And you can obviously go back to the recording, so don't worry about frantically scribbling. But there's many ways. Every single god and goddess has principles, okay? I call it their CV. So it's like, you know, Thoth is the god of wisdom, alchemy, and all the rest of it. Those are his principles. Ma'at, order, justice, balance, all of the things. And Sekhmet also has her principles, which are very similar to Ma'at's. And I've just done some videos again to help you kind of like ground into these very, very divine masculine templates. But I just want to share now, just to bring in the circle and just close it all off. The divine principles of Sekhmet, when you look these up, they will vary slightly. So just go with the expressions of the principles that feels good to you, because the next thing Sekhmet's asking me to push forth, and I'm sure you will all agree, it's about expressing our unique soul design in the world, right? No, I mean, like, look, I know Nelson and I, we share our energy, like, you know, in the way and the intention to say, hey, you know, I'm a divine reflection of you. We're in it together. Do you know what I mean? We're all masters. We're all powerful. We don't want to keep people coming back to workshop after workshop because you're not moving. You should be calling other people to your workshops. Do you know what I mean? There should be a progression. The student must be better than the teacher itself. And then it grows and grows and grows. So this is about really being empowered, taking your power back and living in your truth. And that's very, very Sekhmet, you know, what's your gospel, right? So the principles of Sekhmet, and there's 8 of them. So I'm just going to close on this now. Great place to kind of like, you know, bring it together. So Sekhmet's principle number 1 is sacred balance. Okay, so balance, we know with Ma'at. Number 2 is destruction and creation. We just did a bit of that, didn't we? Right? Number 3 is protection of the vulnerable and the pursuit of justice. So speaking up for what's right, integrity, Number 4, alchemy through fire. We just did that as well. That's the Hecker codes, right? You just experienced it in your own beings. Amazing. Number 5, Number 5 is, number 4 is alchemy through fire, transformation, purification. So, sorry, this gets broken down a little bit. So this is burning away the shadow. We have just done it, cleansing and igniting, right? So we spoke about that. Then number 5 is the Hecker, healing, because a Hecker brings healing, which is exactly what was spoken about earlier, self-care and all the rest of it. So 5 is healing in the realms of alchemy, if you know what I mean. Number 6, strength, endurance, tenacity, resilience. That's the physical expression of the lions in our African plains. What I spoke about here, like tap into that. We need that strength and endurance, not to exhaust ourselves, but to be efficient in our energy. Number 7, responsibility. No one can maintain their mastery or even tap into it if they're not prepared to take responsibility for what is going on in their movie. That is the gateway to it all. Taking responsibility, the master awakens. Okay. And then number 8, okay, divine feminine within. Okay, this is not a physical sexuality thing. It is basically an energy, much like the Hermetic principles, the divine feminine, divine masculine. There's always those two genders. So, be fierce and beautiful and allow yourself to be held by the divine masculine. And then that balance comes in, and we ultimately end up leadership through love. What a great one-liner to end on. So that's me, people. Just gonna microphone drop that there. Peace. Thank you so much for listening and receiving. Woo!
Awesome. That was amazing.
I'm hot
So,
now.
oh, it's gonna get hotter in just a moment. So what I want to do is I want to start off by telling y'all a story. This is an encounter I had last year. This was January 29th, 2023. Now, the people who know me have heard this story before, but so I started off by saying, bear with me as I attempt to explain this non-English experience in English. So I went into my office to pray on this day, and I remembered that it had been a while since the last time I had met with Mother. So I decided to meet with her. I went into the inner court, another realm, another dimension altogether, and she was seated before a giant menorah in a beautiful throne. She told me to sit as a chair appeared behind me. I sat down and went to start my usual one-on-one dialogue, because that is my relationship with the rest of the royal family, is direct and intimate as I would speak to any of you. But my thoughts kept being interrupted while I was trying to talk to her. So she was actually silencing me to get my full attention. I began to focus on her, and I allowed myself to get fully captivated by her. She had these waves of energy pulsing and flowing from her, and the waves began to wash over me. She began to teach me about love. She said that love is an all-consuming, all-accepting, all-transforming fire. While she's describing this, she's showing me a scene of a wildfire expanding. She reminded me that fire is used to purify what it comes in contact with. She said something along the lines of, is it not love to want to see everything in its purest, most holy form? She made sure that I remembered that love must be all-accepting, all-transforming, both. We have to meet everyone and everything where it is and how it is in order for it to be purified and transformed into its most holy form. So I thought something along the lines of, how do we keep this fire from going out? Or how does this fit within your role as a priest also? And she responded by saying, I am still imperial. This is an all-consuming fire. And if you know anything about empires, you know why that's so heavy. The entire time, I'm still getting hit by these waves that are coming from her heart. I asked her, how do I or we stay or become pure? I'm a multitasker, so sometimes I have multiple questions in my questions. And she answered me simply. She said, let love do all of the work, keep your heart open, and let it flow. So what does that have to do with Sekhmet, right? Well, I understand that Sekhmet usually isn't given the presentation that she deserves. One of the most popular myths of Sekhmet is one where she's in this drunken fury, this blind rage, and she's tearing everything apart. It's a presentation of being bloodthirsty. And the myth ends after she's terrorizing humanity and she's on a warpath that they end up getting her drunk. They replace the blood with wine. She drinks it up, gets drunk, and she becomes ecstatic. Now, those are codes. See, there's different times when you're looking through myths where sometimes you're dealing with a historical event that's simply lost to times, and their ways are so uncommon to our ways that we think it's fictional. In other cases, the myth is simply giving you a literal science in the form of a story. In this case, it leans more closely to the story format of it giving us a science. Because if anyone who knows the nature of Sekhmet knows she's not bloodthirsty, she's not ferocious in that way. So where's the conflict? I'd actually say there is no conflict because the presentation of Sekhmet in that myth is that of the heart. The physical heart in your chest, whose job it is to receive and release blood for the betterment of all, of the rest of you. She's a heart. She's your heart, the largest electromagnetic organ in the body, that which sets the frequency. This is why the biblical texts say, as a man thinketh in his heart. Well, if the heart believes, there goes the rest of the body. Thoughts begin in the heart. Everything else is a byproduct of that which is within our heart. Frequency rules. So this is what I begin to see. That presentation of her story is literally talking about the function of the heart. It beats. It's a vortex. Actually, that's something they've been more honest about, is that the heart is actually a vortex, which means it's chaos incarnate, but for the benefit of the whole thing to function. We require some level of chaos and some measure of order in order for us to function. The Chinese get this well, specifically the Taoists, when they talk about yin and yang, where it takes a balance of both for us to be whole. Well, this is why I call her Mother Yin sometimes, because she is chaos, but it's a healthy chaos, right? So this is what we're dealing with here. Because when you really begin to look at it, right? Let's talk about this archetype of love. I made sure to start with that story because I wanted to build the proper archetype for what love really is. So that when I use the word later on, it fits within this same paradigm, because many people use the word love and it means something different. It's even statistically said that the most common lie told is "I love you." It's sad, but statistically it's true. That's also because everyone has a different meaning of the word love. So I started off by defining it. When a lot of people use the word love, they could be thinking of romance. They could be thinking of eroticism. They could just be thinking of friendship. They could be thinking of sacrifice. They could be thinking of tolerance. All of those could be classified in one way, shape, or form as love. But the love that I'm talking about is this all-consuming, all-accepting, all transforming, purifying fire. Which brings me to the topic of love. Many people ask, what is the opposite of love? And many people assume that the opposite of love is hate. But people who know true love know that hatred is actually sometimes a manifestation of true love. The true opposite of love is fear. And they both are able to produce a different form of hatred. Because in order to be a great protector, you have to hate danger which comes against that which you love. When it comes to defending, when it comes to protecting, when it comes to respecting and honoring, there's a great deal of hatred that you authentically have to muster up. So this is one ways, and this also leads into one of her roles as a priest. She's an activist. She's the one that's speaking up for the little guy. She's the one that's standing up for her children. She's the voice for the voiceless in a way. And that's really the embodiment that she's getting the rest of us to see. Rest of us to become, rather, right? It's us stepping into this realization that we are that which she is, that she is our essence, that we are her essence, right? So let me read it for y'all the way that I type this out. So contrary to popular belief, hatred isn't the opposite of love. Hatred can be the manifestation of love or its true opposite, fear. In order to truly walk in love, there are things that you'll develop a righteous hatred for. This form of hatred is the foundation of justice. It's love that can cause people to fight against oppression and abuse. This love hates abuse and oppression. There is a form of hatred that is derived from fear. This form of hatred often manifests as abuse and oppression. Division is not always a bad thing, nor is hatred. It's actually a righteous thing to be able to keep pedophiles away from children or abusers away from victims. It's a righteous thing to hate evil enough to stand against it. Fear doesn't just manifest as hatred, abuse, or oppression. Fear often manifests as the refusal to intervene. Evil doesn't persist because it's that powerful. Evil persists when good people do nothing. The best way to support an abuser is to stay out of their way. They are supported not only by other abusers, but mainly by the silent. Cowardice is this manifestation of fear. It's the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, which I call the coward's creed. I refuse to acknowledge it, otherwise I will feel obligated to intervene. So yes, the coward and the abuser are actually cut from the same cloth. They're partners in crime, actually. So if your anger rises at victims, instead of abusers, you are of their spirit. If you stand against those who stand against evil, you stand on the side of evil. Our hearts are revealed by what we attack and what we defend. Love is not equated with being passive. Love is actually very much progressive. Love sees faults and finds solution. Love hears the hurting and works on their behalf. Love stands up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Love doesn't gaslight. Love isn't a coward, and love isn't fear. So this is, I guess you could consider it a poem that I wrote not too long ago. But this is getting us out of the entrapment. It's a mental snare that tells us that we're wrong for actually being passionate. Real passion is a byproduct of love. That's why they call passion fiery. That's why it's dubbed that, because it's actually drawing in. You know, solutions never get solved until people care enough. And most of the time, people don't care enough until they're angry. Look at every movement that's ever touched the planet. It started with people who cared enough to get angry enough to solve the problem. So actually, anger is not a bad thing. Anger is a tool. The issue with anger is where it's deriving from. Where does your ferocity draw its fuel from? Is it the fear of something, or is it the love of something? That's all it boils down to. So let's talk about this fiery concept. Now, if you've ever heard my creation story, one of the things that I attribute to Mother is actually the creation of the astral plane itself. Our Father, the essence of the Father is what it took to create the spirit world. The essence of the Mother is what it took to create the astral plane itself. This is the realm of souls. This is the place in which our souls were crafted, which is, if you've ever been, it's a realm of chaos. It's energy, it's fire, but it's not necessarily a fire that burns, it's just fire, right? And you're looking at different densities of fire, different ways of fire, different types of fire. all these different fires, but the realm itself is fire. In fact, in Egyptian cosmology, they actually have the origin, right? It's believed that everyone's soul was created out of this pool of fire or this lake of fire that you later hear referenced in biblical texts. This is where we get our interconnectedness from. It's the fact that we're made of the thing that gives us comes from the same source. It's this massive pool of fire in another dimension, which when you learn to reconnect with, you tap back into all the information. Just to demystify the mystical slightly, the astral plane or the soulish world is simply the realm of all information, which is everything stored there. It's the information of who you were before, who you will be, who you're on the way to being, who we are, each other, right? All the information stored in the astral plane. And the health of the soul is your re-inclusion with the fire in which your soul originated from. So literally that which gives us motion. You, Marie, and Kajara both mentioned the fact that Sekhmet's related to the sun, that which is fire. Well, that's our essence. You know, I've heard the parallel before of the word soul for sun and soul as what we call that which gives us us, at least sounding the same, or even the idea that the soul is a sun or a star, and that's what makes us us. We're stars having human experiences, or suns in a body. This is proof of our bloodline connection to Sekhmet, the great the she of fire, the fiery one, the powerful one, the energetic one, the purifier. Right, one of my favorite things that I've read about Sekhmet, I believe it was in the coffin text, it talks about how when she breathes, the fire from her breath creates deserts. That's something that's able to purify you in a moment. Of course, you get the cool superhero trope of the ability to breathe fire, but when you really look at it and you ask Mother to breathe on you and breathe through you and you begin to breathe her breath, it's a process of purification. You begin to be purified. You become that which purifies, which means anyone who encounters you gets an encounter with their true self, or more so, the womb of creation itself. The womb of creation is a lake of fire. We were born from the sun, that inner sun, the astral sun, that sun of souls. This is where we were born from, and this is what we reconnect with, which means when you begin to illuminate, this is why they call the process of the soul and journey of illumination or enlightenment. It's the process of letting the sun that you are shine bright, blossom, come forth. There's two manifestations of a sun. You have the light, you have the fire. And then as a byproduct of those main two, you have the other manifestations. You have the destructive capabilities. You know, I live in Texas, Marie's in South Africa. It gets hot, the sun hurts. It might mess up certain crops, but for others, it's that which breathes life. So you see the source of creation and destruction being the makeup of that which we are. It's just energy itself. Energy can create, energy can destroy. It depends on how we channel it, but it's still the same energy. You decide, am I going to use the fire that's within me, the passion that's within me to create a better future? Or am I going to use it to be a destroyer? Now understand, even in the archetype of what I just presented, oftentimes those who are pioneering look like destroyers because, let's be honest, most of what we're familiar with is a false concept. So all the reformers are troublemakers. It's people who are willing to go against the system for the blueprint that they're actually receiving from the royal family. This doesn't work. We need a better system. What do? Well, I want Mother's original intent for humanity. One of my friends, my brother, Apostle Brian McDuffie, he had me on his podcast a few weeks ago to prophesy about what was going to happen after the US election. I don't think that podcast is out yet, but let's just say I'm still accurate. uh, so here's one of the things that I mentioned in that. It was the idea of mother's culture invading the earth, but specifically the US. The world is in desperate need of more feminine energy. In fact, if I want to be honest, the age of Aquarius is all about Black people, women, and water, in which Sekhmet is very much included in. I know she's considered the fire mother, but really, when you look at the essence of who mother is as a whole, it definitely includes water. This is why, even in the Bible, it mentions the three main baptisms, that being water, spirit, and fire. It's all related to mother in a certain capacity. But I mentioned mother's culture starting to gain an uprising in the earth. And what's mother's culture? Mother's culture is community. When I first got the revelation that mother was the original priest, and I don't call her priestess simply because I know that priests were originally female. They switched it over much later to add the ess after, men took over, and then they started letting women in it too. They let women back into the priesthood, but originally priests were female. Even in the Hebrew culture, it's given credit to Levi, but he learned the priesthood from his sister Dinah. But the original priest is mother. I call her the Menoran priest. It's she who guards over the fire of us all, she who is the fire that invades us all. So one of the things that we begin to talk about, when I started to learn about her being a priest, I went to her and I asked her to describe it. And she said the role of the priest is they set the social climate of a region. They're responsible for omnidirectional reconciliation. Now, that's just a long, complicated way of saying make sure everyone and everything is getting along, making sure everything is in harmony, everything is peace, everything is balance. That's mother's main role. And then she ended it with saying that you have to keep your heart free from offense because of how much love you have to pour out. You can't afford to have conditions on your love. Because the moment you start putting conditions, you step into a false form of love. Now that love lacks the power that it's really supposed to output. So that's a question I'd always ask mom. Are there any conditions on my love? Am I accidentally giving people a conditional love? Uh, So just thinking about this culture of omnidirectional reconciliation, this is that community standard that we've been looking for, where neighbor looks after neighbor, where complete strangers see each other as family, where we're working together. I've been prophesying for a while about bartering replacing the modern way that we do currency. This family grows crops, this family has a good, this family has a service, and they just exchange services without the need of money. This, in a way, gets rid of the root of evil. Loving money. How can you love money if it doesn't exist anymore? So, in a way, I recognize there will be economic collapses and changes and rewrites and all types of stuff in the near future, but I don't see it as a bad thing. See, change is a good thing, but that doesn't mean that it's not uncomfortable. So I understand. See, when I see in the future, I'm not seeing a possibility. I see what is. I've yet to miss a prophecy. I've yet to see a future that hasn't come to pass. So when it comes to the things that I'm talking about here, this isn't guesswork, right? I know that we're moving into a culture where people are allowed to hope again. We're exiting a presentation where where the only manifestation of hatred comes from fear, where hatred is the paradigm, where fear is the paradigm that we run our cultures by. That's a culture that's dying. It's gonna begin in the US, but it's traveling all over the world because mother's heart isn't for the US. I'm not a narcissist to believe that only the country I'm currently in is the one where mother's moving. No, she loves all her children, including the ones that aren't even on our planet, not even in our dimension. See, she doesn't play favorites. We play favorites because our love has conditions. Her love doesn't have conditions because she's actually the embodiment of love and affect. Active love. So I want to do an exercise with you all. Put your hands out in a little cup like this, if you would. What I want to do is I want to impart some of that love and fire that I've been speaking about. And we're going to do an exercise. So as it begins to fill your hands, I want you to form it into a ball. And it's going to begin to spiral and surge, and it's a bit heavy, but, handle it with care. And what I want you to do is, there we go. I want you to burst it and then send that wave all across the globe. There we go. And the waves are still coming all over the globe. And just begin to command that fire. Let it surge through you. Let it surge around you. Let it fill and fill and fill as it goes out and around the entire globe. Give us let it be a dense fire, nothing light. This is Mother's love for the world. This is the baptism of fire that the world has been looking for. The baptism of love itself. Begin to see that fire going into the hearts of the people and into the animals and into the plants and the fungi. See it going deep into the soil, into the inner earth, into the lower earths, deep beneath the waters. Right? All right. And come back to me. So now just for y'all who've come on, I just want to release again just for y'all, because why not? And begin to receive. I promised you more fire. So that's something that this is going to help with. This is the pioneering of Mother's culture. Her culture is simply the interconnectedness of all things, specifically within humanity, because our souls are literally interconnected through her. She is the source which we all connect back with. So I'm actually done with my session. I actually didn't have a full hour planned. I had some very specific things. I sat with Mother to see what she wanted me to cover. Maybe 5 minutes before I got on, because I never plan these things out. But for those of you who'd like to connect with me and partner with me, go to my website, just launched, caveofmystery.org. On there, you can find all my upcoming courses, my upcoming conferences, access to my library, access to my community. All of the stuff associated with my ministry, my work, and myself is available on my website. What I want to do is open up for questions or comments from anyone who has any.
I just want to say thank you to everyone that presented, to the first person, I don't know how to say her name, but Marie Nelson. This is my first time here, but I've been with for a while, followed her for a long time. Thank you all. This was really, really beautiful. Lots of crying, lots of yawning and really. So thank you.
Awesome. And I believe it's Sakina. What do you have? I see you say you have a question.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I learned about this event through Marie, and it's so wonderful to hear your words, Nelson. I'm wondering if you have any guidance around immediate next steps. I live in the United States, and I'm doing work with communities who are going to be affected by this shift politically. And I really appreciated your guidance around how to see hatred either coming from fear or love. And I'm trying to direct some of that righteous rage in ways that can facilitate conversations, but also I'm noticing people turning that rage inward or it being all consuming, which I think is also kind of the warning of the myth of Sekhmet, right? Like that love and power can destroy. So if you have any guidance around how to direct that and how to be a force for love, that would be helpful.
So I'd say this regarding the state of our election. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Let's just say there's nothing to worry about.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for everyone being here. I appreciate it.
Awesome. And it's great getting to meet some of Marie's community. I'm not sure if anyone here is from Kajara's community, but we're all family now. We're all interconnected. We know the same mother, as you heard, throughout this event. So for those of you watching via YouTube, thank you for sitting through this. Again, caveofmystery.com if you want to connect with me. Also, the others gave their connection points during their session. So be sure to check out Marie. Be sure to check out Kajara. They have amazing work that they're doing for Mother. So with that being said, y'all
Hang
be
on,
blessed.
I just want to say, okay, and like I'm coming in now because I don't get to receive, okay, because I'm always like this. And I mean, this is such a gift. I mean, like Nelson, you are such a wisdom keeper teacher. You not many of you around, but you know that. You know what I mean? And just the way that you teach and you share, and it's just phenomenal. And Kajara, I mean, obviously you introduced me to her, and to be part of this trio today and all these beautiful souls on here, so authentic, so true. Like literally I felt so emotional all the way through it because it feels like home. And I would just like to anchor this in, because since you and I met, Nelson, we did the podcast and we were like, we need to record because we were just like this, and it's family. And I mean, I would love to do more kind of collabs and everything like that. And I'm sure more will come. But I have Nelson's book, buy it, like amazing. And yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me, because this was a gift for me. So blessings, and to all of you that came as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you as well.